Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Well everyone, today is the Chinese New Year, and due to this year being the year of pigs, I've got a very special film to blog today. Now, pigs can be, rather adorable animals, while some people can, consider them as gross or hungry animals. And so far, in my opinion, there aren't that many movies that I know about that involve these animals. I mean, sure, we do have such films like Charlotte's Web, which I've already blogged, along with Piglet's Big Movie, and of course, Animal Farm. But the film I'll be blogging today is a different kind of pig film, and the person responsible would be none other than Mark Polanski. Released in the United States on February 29th, 2008, the movie is Penelope. So, let's get started. Born with the ears and the snout of a pig, young Penelope Wilhern spends life as a virtual prisoner in her own home, believing that the only way to break her curse is to marry one of her own kind. She meets a number of suitors, but all reject her. Later on, two devious men hire a young man to pose as a suitor, but complications arise when he begins to fall in love with Penelope, and she makes a bid for freedom. So, what do I think? Well, this movie was quite surprising, but let's move on to Mustang Notes. The production of Penelope started in 2006 in London and Pinewood Studios, Buckinghamshire. The film's screenplay was written by Leslie Kenveny. A novelization of the movie was written by Marilyn Kay. It premiered at the 2006 Toronto International Film Festival. It was also Reese Witherspoon's first film in a producing role, along with a small acting role. Shortly after, IFC Films acquired U.S. distribution rights to the movie, with the Weinstein Company handling the home media and television distribution, with a planned mid-2007 release. Summit Entertainment eventually picked up the U.S. distribution rights. Now, to me, this movie is a very unique romance movie, but it does have some humorous moments, but thankfully not too much, since I'm not too much of a big fan of romance comedies, since they can go a bit over the top and raunchy. Anyway, also in my opinion, the setting in this movie is very nice, and Penelope's mansion looks absolutely grand, due to her family being rich. However, the story is a tad familiar. I mean, think about it. It's about a young girl who's under a family curse, and the only way to lift it is to find someone of her own kind to love her. To me, it kind of reminds me of Louis Satcher's Holes, with a bit of Beauty and the Beast. Plus, as a guy who never judges people by their appearances, I think Penelope, pig-faced or not, is a very special person. Plus, Penelope is someone who I'd like to be friends with, since we outcasts have to stick together. However, I need to nitpick that this movie does include a bit of blackmail in it. Anyway, let's move on to the cast. Our main character, Penelope Wilhern, is played by Christina Ricci, best known from films like Casper, The Addams Family, Alpha and Omega, Smurfs 2, and Speed Racer. Now, as I said earlier, Penelope is a very unique girl, and it's interesting that her hobbies include literature, horticulture, and music. Plus, I think her pig nose makes her look, well, cute. Plus, I like how she learns to love herself the way she is in order to break her curse. Penelope's parents, Jessica and Franklin, are played by Catherine O'Hara and Richard E. Grant. Now, the reason why their daughter is cursed is because generations ago, an embittered and vengeful witch placed a curse on the family after their son had an affair with her daughter and, well, talked out of marrying her by his arrogant and disapproving family, which resulted in abandoning her and marrying someone else. The heartbroken and pregnant servant girl then threw herself off a cliff. The witch was so furious that she cursed the Wilhelms so that the next daughter to be born into the family would have the face of a pig. For 5 generations, the Wilhelms produced only sons until Penelope was born, and her parents interpreted that Penelope must marry a man of noble birth. Now, in my opinion, Jessica and Franklin are very protective of their daughter, and one time they had to fake their daughter's death and cloister her away in their mansion in order to hide her from the public. Next we come to Penelope's love interest, Johnny Martin, played by James McAvoy, best known as Mr. Tumnus from the 2005 Narnia movie, and he's also been in Romeo and Juliet and Arthur Christmas. This young, down-on-his-luck blue blood was hired by 2 greedy men, whom I'll talk about later, to pose as a new suitor for Penelope, and he hid a camera in his jacket so that he can steal a picture of her. After talking to Penelope through a one-way mirror, he's unexpectedly caught off guard by her sweetness and charm, and Penelope also trusts him enough to show him her face. After getting to know her, Johnny destroys the camera, realizing that their attempt to exploit Penelope was wrong, which was, in my opinion, a nice change of heart for him. Next we come to a weirdo named Lemon, played by Peter Dinklage, who's been in real stinkers like Elf, Ice Age 4, and Angry Birds. Though I did like him in Pixels and Avengers Infinity War. This guy is a tabloid reporter who stalks the family to get a photograph of the baby Penelope, resulting in her mother to blind him in the right eye after he breaks into the house. In my opinion, due to his behavior in this film, he's a real stalker. Next up is Edward Humphrey Vanderman III, played by Simon Woods. This guy is a spoiled, arrogant snob who finds Penelope repulsive after getting freaked out by Penelope's appearance. Later, Edward teams up with Lemon in an effort to get a photograph of Penelope in order to exploit her. Another character to talk about is Annie, a delivery girl played by Reese Witherspoon, best known from the Legally Blonde films, along with Illumination's Sing and DreamWorks' Monsters vs. Aliens. Plus, as I said earlier, she serves as one of the movie's producers. In the movie, Annie becomes Penelope's real-world mentor and best friend. Plus, despite her serious attitude, she can also be very supportive. The rest of the cast includes Nick Frost, Roni Ancona, Nigel Havers, Vern Gorman, Russell Brand, John Voice, Lenny Henry, Richard Leaf, and Michael Feast. And now let's move on to my final words. overall, Penelope is a pretty good film. While its story may be a tad predictable, it's still a decent movie if you like romance films. Plus, the main character, Penelope, is very unique, as well as special and relatable. The bad guys like Lemon and Edward are really greedy jerks, and Johnny, while a bit down on his luck, was a great character. Plus, I think he and Penelope make a nice couple. Also, the movie does have a nice message to accept people for who they are, no matter what they look like. So, if you haven't seen this movie yet, then be sure to pick it up. I give this movie a 94% out of 100. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me again next time. Mustang Power. And may all of you have a happy Chinese New Year.